Erev Tov Chavrim, I'm Steven Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Here it is, Thursday, December the 15th, 2016. Got some very interesting stories going on. Everything from Erdogan, actually speaking today with President Barack Obama about the situation in Syria and in Iraq. Something I'm very concerned about there. Sweden worried about Russia invading. This has got to be insane. Really, really insane. The United States moving massive amounts of military equipment to Europe. And of course, the story that really has concerned me a lot here, bill banning non-Orthodox services at the Western Wall submitted to the Knesset. Are you serious? This is absolutely insane. We should title this Insane News is what we should entitle this. Come on, my Orthodox brethren, I'm going to be kind of firm with you about this because I am very concerned. We're sitting there talking about wanting to be able to have the right to pray on the Temple Mount. Rabbi Yehuda Glick. I met Rabbi Yehuda Glick there with Pastor Paul Bagley a little while back, some months ago there. Very interesting man. Has always pushed for the right for the Jewish people to be able to pray on the Temple Mount. But yet you're saying that women have no right to read from the Torah. And I'm like dumbfounded. I'm like, can the rabbis get any more blind than what they are right now in saying something like this? And you may find that disrespectful in what I'm saying, but you know what? I'm your brother, I love you, and I'm going to be firm about this because this has got to stop. These women have every right to read from the Torah. And if you say that they don't, then you'd have no idea what your own Bible has to say. And it's time that we take a look at this. All right, now, let me just first, I'm going to jump over real quick to Genesis. This is one of the main places that rabbis like to try to say that women have to remain silent because her husband is over her. Oh, my gosh. All right, let's take a look at this. All right, and now, the famous one. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and it toil shall I eat all the days of thy life. Did you forget that God said to Abraham about Sarah, why did you not hearken to the voice of thy wife? And in this case here, he's getting on to Adam for listening to the voice of his wife. All right, so it goes both ways. But here's where the problem really comes down to. All right, and that's verse 16, where it says, this is the way they translate it here in Mamre, which is incorrect translation as far as English. But seeing as the rabbinical scholars over in Israel do speak Hebrew, we will look at this from the Hebraic perspective in just a moment. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy pain and thy travail, and in pain thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And therefore the rabbis think that they have the complete authority to tell the women to remain in silence. Total nonsense. You rabbis, come on, face it. El Haisha Omar, okay? And to the woman he says, right? Harabe Araba, see? It's Vanecha Vecharonecha Ba'etzav. All right? Harabe Araba. You know good and well that Araba right here is also translated not just as greatly multiply. All right? No. All right, the one that is lying in wait, the serpent, he is the one that causes you to have pain and sorrow. And not pain and sorrow because you're going to have a child. It only just prophesies here. It's a prophetic verse here. Taladai Banim, you will birth sons, not children, sons. It is a prophecy of Cain and Abel. This is what it's all about. A prophecy of Cain and Abel and about the serpent, the one that is lying in wait, Arabeh, that is going to cause her pain and sorrow because why? The God of Israel knows that what? The one boy, Cain, is going to kill his brother Abel, which will cause the mother both pain and sorrow. Sorrow for her son that is dead, pain because her other son killed the other one. This is where it's at. But then you say that, well, because you listen to the voice of your wife, see, he gets the right to rule over you. No, the relationship between God and man has been broken. So what does God say right here? All right? Vel ishacha, okay, and to, right here, and to your husband, to shutecha, you will turn. Shuk, that's right here from the word shuv, return, to turn. Go back to the Septuagint, for heaven's sake. Even the Septuagint knows that it meant that you would turn to your husband and what behu imashal becha. He will rule over you. Why? Because you turn to him for all your strength. And you thinking that it's turning to... You rabbis know good and well that has nothing to do with you giving some great commandment to boss her around and stuff. That's a bunch of nonsense. And you guys know it. You know it good and well it's not. All right, now let's take another look here quickly so we can get into the news here about Turkey, because these things are going to affect Israel in the long run, guys. We got to really pay attention to what's going on. We got to get cleaned up at home in Israel. We got to stop the nonsense in Israel. In the government, we got to stop the nonsense. We got to stop attacking our neighbors, and we got to start getting our own house in order first in Israel. And I think where it needs to start at is with the rabbis. Get the rabbis in order, and maybe for somehow or another we might be able to get the leaders in the government in order. And if they can't get in order, put them out, vote in somebody that got some sense, right? That's what we need. You wanted a king, you got a king, and he's not working very well, is he? That's what Micah had to say as well. All right, now, let's take over here. You sit there and you're trying to tell me that, you're trying to tell me that women, they ain't got no rights. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe I'm actually hearing this, right? 22:14. All right, let's back up right here. You remember what happens over here in 2 Kings chapter 22 here? You remember what goes on here? You remember how they found the Torah scrolls there inside the temple? They'd been hid for all this time. And when it came and was read into the ears of the king commanded, he freaked out. He ripped his clothes and he started weeping and praying in sackcloth and ashes because he knew that Israel had sinned like crazy. And yet you got priests, you got scribes, ain't done you a bit of good. Just like today, you got all the priests, you got all the rabbis, you got scribes, you're copying Torahs down and everything and still teaching the word of God wrong. I'm not saying that everything's wrong. And I'm not here to sit there and just throw you under the bus, my brothers. I love you. I really do. I'm saying this sincerely. But I see all kinds of nonsense happening in Israel. I see that you've invited the Pope of Rome in, for heaven's sake, the man that is into paganism bigger than any other minister in the entire world, and you invite him in and treat him as if he's the king of Israel, giving him an official seat at the tomb of David, and you expect me to have respect to the rabbinical leaders of Israel and the head rabbis take and go to the Pope to the Wailing Wall to pray and everything and throw all the Jews out so the Pope can pray there. Now, I'm not against the Pope going there to pray. The Pope should go there to pray with everybody else. I'm not against the Pope praying at the Wailing Wall. I'm not against anybody praying there. I'm not against the Jews praying on the Temple Mount. They should be allowed to pray on the Temple Mount. But God keeps you from praying on the Temple Mount because of what you're doing to your women in there as well. Learn to treat your wife with some love and respect, and then maybe God will have love and respect for you. Because remember, in the sight of God, you are a woman. In the sight of God, you men are supposed to be the bride of the Almighty. He is espoused, married unto Israel. We are the wife. Don't think that we're the husband. We're not. So therefore, we should have compassion on women in regards to that. Now, so anyway, the king he goes like this. Hilkiah the priest hath delivered me a book, and Shaphan read it before the king. And it came to pass, when the king had heard the words of the book of the law, that he rent his clothes. And the king commanded Hilkiah the priest, and Hilkiah the son of Shaphan, and Achbor the son of Micaiah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Asaias the king's servant, saying, Go ye inquire of the Lord for me, and for the people, and for all of Judah concerning the words of this book that is found. For great is the wrath of the Lord that is kindled against us, because of our fathers have not hearkened unto the words of this book, to do according to all that which is written concerning us. All right? Now he's talking to the priest, he's talking to the scribes, he's talking to the leaders, and he says, Go inquire of the Lord, Hashem, the God of Israel. And what do? Man, you got the book in your hand, you got the Torah, but you're to go inquire of God. So what does he do? So Hilkiah the priest, and Hilkiah, and Achor, and Shaphan, and Asaiah went unto Huldah the prophetess. You gotta be kidding me. You went to a woman? And yet you'll throw the women out the Wailing Wall. You should be ashamed of yourself. Here back then, the priest, who, by the way, my brethren, were true Zadokite priesthood, not Hasmonean dynasty, not a priesthood that is trying to take the place of a high priest today that's not even a true Zadokite, a true Levite. I mean, we got a lot of mixed up things in Israel. You guys forget, Qumran is where the true Zadokite priests were. Because after the Maccabees, remember Judah Maccabee, he takes and puts his own self as a high priest. The man's a Benjamite. Come on, wake up, Israel. They're trying to keep you dumbed down. They really are. Don't think the government's ain't trying to keep you dumbed down as well. They're trying to keep you dumbed down as well. They don't want you to wake up to who you really are, sons and daughters of God. They don't want you to wake up to realize, because if you did, you wouldn't, first off, you wouldn't let the Pope of Rome come in there. And the Pope of Rome, by the way, is wanting to make sure he brings you some kind of alien devil down here to be your Messiah. And you're willing to believe it, wouldn't you? Oh, jeez. Watch what happens, though. They go to Huldah, the prophetess, the wife of Shulam, the son of Tikva. Tikva's he's not the one, you know. Her husband, the wife of Shulam, he's not a prophet. He's not prophesying nothing. All right? The keeper of the wardrobe. Now she dwelt in Jerusalem in the second quarter, and they spoke with her. And she said unto them, Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, tell ye the man that sent you unto me, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will bring evil upon this place and upon the inhabitants thereof, and even all the words of the book which the king of Judah hath read. So judgment's fixing to strike. And she goes down furthermore. She even says to the king, because you have humbled yourself before the Lord, he's going to have mercy on you. You're not going to see it during your days. Let me tell you something. That woman's words that were prophesied by the God of Israel became the Tanakh of today, and you recite it as well. And you tell me a woman can't take and pick up a Tanakh and go there and read the Tanakh standing there at the Wailing Wall. Nonsense. All right, now, give you another example. You need two for a witness. Over here in the book of Judges. What do we have? Judges chapter 4, verse 4. Now, Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lipodath, she judged Israel at that time, and she sat under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. She led the nation, 40 years? Men and women. The man wouldn't even go out to battle without this woman because she was anointed of the Lord. I mean, guys, there's something wrong, something majorly wrong, and we got to clean up our own house. How are we going to be a light to the world when we're so messed up? When we allow our government to war with our neighbors and bomb Syrians and bomb. I realize there's problems in Gaza and the West Bank. But you know what? I don't think we're going about it the right way and dealing with it. God said that if we have people living in the land with us and they're willing to go by our laws, then we're to treat them as our brother. And I know, I'm not saying, I've been in a suicide bombing myself. I know what it's like, and I realize that there is issues on both sides. But let me tell you where the problem stems from. As long as you allow Rome and all these politicians from the West to come in and tell Israel how to run her business, you're always going to have problems in the West Bank and in Gaza. But if you get some love in your heart, and start treating these people with love and compassion, and get rid of Rome's influence out of all of the West Bank and out of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, then we could probably get some things done there a little bit better. All right, now let's move on to other news there. Let's look at what's going on with Turkey right now. Erdogan says discuss Syria and Iraq with President Obama today on the phone there. That's exactly right. It's being reported here by Reuters. Yes, he had a phone conversation there, and he's very concerned about what's happening in Syria there, in Aleppo especially. He lets Obama know, I'm keeping a close eye on it. And Obama says to President Erdogan, what do you need, sir? What do I need? What can I help you with? Well, no doubt he'd probably give him the list of arms and supplies that they're going to need, because if we're going to face Russia, we're going to need an airstrike as well, Mr. Obama. So I'm hoping you got our back, because if we go to stir up this hornet's nest here, it's going to take a whole lot to kind of deal with President Putin. President Putin, I hope you got some brains to wake up and see what's going on. You keep trying to make peace. Now, I appreciate what you're doing. This man has no desire to have peace with you. He's only playing you along because the Obama administration is playing him along, and they're using him to do the dirty work. That's from my own inside source. That's for you, Mr. President Putin. That is an inside source that I have inside the inner workings there in Turkey there that has let me know that Erdogan has been playing the dirty guy for the United States. I wouldn't trust him a moment. I wouldn't turn my back, and I wouldn't do any more than a phone call with him either. Anyway, moving on. Think that's bad enough. Of course, as I mentioned here, RT reporting too that the United States has no intentions whatsoever on pulling out of Iraq. They are there to stay for the long haul, even though Obama did say back in 2011, after his predecessors, we are out of here. Well, they're not out of there. You got to remember, as, oh gosh, I can't think of the general's name now that said that they got to overtake all these different Middle Eastern countries. Don't forget Yemen, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Iran. Oh yes, Iran, you're next. Sorry about that, Iranians. I know that there's been some rift between you and Israel as well. That could probably be settled. Maybe, maybe not. Devils are still devils, and there may be devils on both sides working in this, but I pray somehow or another that God will intervene and this could all end. Moving on also, Sweden. As if there is anything that would be surprising about this. The dailymail.co.uk is reporting that the Swedes are very much concerned about Russia invading Sweden. So officials in Sweden have been ordered to ensure that they are ready for war as fears of Russia invasion grow. The country's Civil Contingencies Agency has sent out a letter to all local authorities telling them that they must be better equipped to respond to the threat of war. What do you know? Oh, I'm sorry, Jens Stoltenberg happens to be the what? Head for NATO, European Union side, whatever the case may be. No wonder why he's got all the fear factor building up in the Swedes, expecting that Russia, the bad boogeyman, is going to invade. Russia's not going to invade Sweden. They're not going to invade Europe. But if you keep poking that bear long enough, maybe an accident happens and you shoot down one of the Russian planes, or you lob a bomb over there in St. Petersburg or something, kill some of the Russians, then yes, you're going to get a sleeping giant. You know, Putin did say, you keep hitting at me. You keep doing it. He said, leave me out of it. That's one of the things he said, leave me out of it. He said, if you don't, I'll be your worst nightmare. But they don't want to leave him out. They're going to keep on pushing until they stir up something that they can't change, that's for sure. Already happened here. My good friend here on Already Happened, freelance investigative journalist there, does amazing work on both his Facebook page, his blog spot here, Already Happened, news.blogspot.cz, Czech Republic there. I think he's actually out of Italy. But anyway, check him out on Twitter. He is showing this huge, massive amount of tanks and equipment, all painted in desert camo there. Look at the size of this contingency here. All this is headed to the EU. Wonder what they're going to do with all this. I guess they're so quickly expecting a war with Russia that they got to run it over before they can even paint it. Maybe they'll run it through a spray booth inside the tankers. I have no idea. But nonetheless, they are preparing for a massive assault. That's not defensive, that's offensive. I'm Steven Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live.